Yeah, Nimbula. Thanks for logging in. Traveling all the way to Lomaloma in Vanuabalavu. Nimbula.
Lomaloma na tomba Vakaloloma Tiko kina na vei matangali roka Endomoni Kolau eloma isa Koloma loma Oi away, sita Ia, ona kala Natoma au ruindo mona Isa, koloma loma Penisa na vuli kakala tokoa na Vanua nilasa endomoni kolau eloma isa koloma loma Oi away, sita Ia, ona kala Natomba au ruindo mona Isa, koloma loma Oi away, sita Ia, ona kala Natoma au ruindo mona Isa, koloma loma Isa, koloma loma Isa, koloma loma
Sa totoka pakawoti nanonda sema saratiko ki Vanuabalavu ela sigo vinaka nikua nimbula vinaka na veokani vinaka vakalevu sara nomuni sema tiko mai na vivononi sema tiko mikina songora vakumbula sara tiko mai Ingilandi ndombula vinaka mai China Malo ambula dina ni hao ndombula vinaka mai Ingilandi Malo ambula kulani ndombula vinaka talangana sema tiko mai Amerika ni Silandi ke Australia totoka vakawoti ni tamai sema tiko na bongi vinaka nikua and nongo ivatavata ni Talanoa with Dr. T. Maro takasara ni nanonda bulangi ndo kai na sigi nikua tiko vatki kenda na kaviongo maramo sosara levu na itavi ang qaravi vakayo takakwenda ni tu kerkere me ngwali mai me mai Talanoa tu vikenda me wasetu na nona tumbu take mai na nona susu na nona vuli vakatalanga kina na vitavi levu lalai ang qaravi tu na buku ni nona matintu o viti o vetor talanga na ngono gome o vakatuluti ko yana na vintel ni tambu kede sara na nona bono mai viti na tinkawa na nona Yasana ni vakarong tik mai na bongi bilang nikua sa ngoli tu na vakambula mena tu Hawaii ninda na maro taka na Veitalanoa sa tuvani tiko na Veitalanoa na kamikua ia na kaviongo andangande tu ivivia na tolu na kaloko na kavinikua. Oti na 5 na kaloko na ngande sarki na yanu vakaturaga o matuku. Mai matuku angona yei na sa kanta sarki na yanu totoka ko Vanuabalavu. Totoka. Sana vakambula sara ngona yei ki vena no bula ki tokai o Dr Mere Samisoni Malo Bula Dr Mere.
Malo Bula Dr T. O Malo sara ni o ni Lomaloma, or you played Lomaloma because yes. I come from Lomaloma. Good nongu koro. Levu, o Malo sara tareri binaka na ua ke na coconut tree ke na tangi sa bata sa ngau chiku sa ngai viti. Is
Laka. Ranyo thank you so much. Lele besar ngana vio kaner sa mati ko mai ngonai ke via wakambula mate veira Dr Mere veira vio kaner sa mati ko mai malo.
Sembula binaka communicate my England, America, my China, my Japan, my Lao Talanoa, Suba Biti, Binakabali na para rongo may rongo na nung Talanoa laylay leka. Beletiao nung susu. Kaya na nunggu vuli, kaya na nunggu tutu nikua na Levuka Public, na lewa ni Vanua, dina in the vuli tiko. Yeah, but what's most important is giving back to the community, and that's who I am.
Sa totoka wakawati. Me kando nung kawat ko nito bikem ni Dr Mere Samisoni live mai. Au sando sarabu tu na kemni tamba ondo wilika na kemni Talanoa na buku ni beka o vakavara na buru ni bisinisi kena nomu solele stale na beka orani solele stale kena nonto pono mibiti. Kung kino maro taka pakalibu na tikini awongo nindaro mentampe pate mendaro Veitalanoa bamini binaka pakalibu jina yana nona bese mati bikendaro mendaro me ntampe pate nikua mo mai wasea ni bunga bike mai ke memina redi ke mnitu na nomuni vakaturaga na veitai boning qaravi tu ke memina simberambeka ni rongo na nomuni susu take mai kung kina binakata mite ko mandar ndaro Veitalanoa. If you can introduce yourself to us na bononi labu tu mekina nomuni koro korni vasu kena bononi susu take mikina ngono se ngonele oleliki
Naka Dr T. Na yabangu tau doko po andi merti salalo. Samisoni ni keni na ulumatua. Na audabuta gabutu may na vuvale vakaturaga na rasao. Na nongu totoka ko vale levu, nongu matangali talanga ko vale levu, nongu yabusa kombuda, na koro vakaturaga ko Lomaloma, may Vanuabalavu lao. Na na koro, na tiko i Lomaloma, tau ngali, may buana turanga na rasao, koro tuguda na malata uruone, kaya inda kui Lomaloma. Tau na vei koro, go endui tiko na nonda tau itavi, buana turanga na nunguratu. Dau ni vei vuli, ngonendau matani Vanua, kaya nandau ni vei qaravi. Na tamangu, kuratu kini na umatua ko sa amate, veiwakani kimbau, matani tu kumbuna, kina tovata. Na lubei tu ibakau, ia lewa ko andi ulamila o koe na nongu nau wakawa. She's my 4th generation grandmother. O wasu turanga talanga kinangu, kina tinai ratu mara, kina tinai ratu reu na misimisi, ora tau veitadini dina, kina tinangu komerti salalo. I think that's it. Yeah, that's mana wale tiao.
Sa totoka. Totoka wakawoti na nomu veiwasei na buku ni nomu mata vuvale kina bonoa o davutumikina levu sarna kake mai bulida na bongi binaka nikua binaka bakalevu na nomu waseti kuma na sema vakabiokanye totoka wakawoti vakatapmanda na nomu ni susu take mai o nia susu manda mai be Dr Mere.
Yeah. O yawa sudu I Levuka, o tamangu ko ya post officer kina, roa rako I Levuka, o susu mai Levuka, o vuli mai Levuka, o a vuli mai na Levuka Public School, ia o ndola ko vale Lomaloma, sa kilai wa na ko Lomaloma kena tong bale na puno ke I Vanuabalavu, samana tapos mo levu imbana naman okay rin gori. Okay Lomaloma binaka. Ando Talanoa nana nindo siyang baw na motoka na singa na mo na ya tunga na ose. Yerto do tong balito nga may Lomaloma ki mole ki indalitoni kilabi na kasara ando warong tukuni do nakabiyaw na warong tukuni balati Vanuabalavu. Ando tali kasara na tukuni. Kena lullabies. Do mata nila nga seronana balatana. Oh pua, kintaray na lua, la ko'y veo chinamu, la ingoli kendaru, yamukoy ko na saku, kau ko'y namdamu. Oh pua, I can still hear her today singing that song, but she was great at singing lullabies and telling stories. That's the thing that I really remember about her. And I think that vayan rata na yalongu kinungu vakasama meu tumbu dake vata kikoya. I wanted to be like her. Even today, you know, I'm really my mother's daughter. And I can remember once when I was very sick. I was in Levuka, and she took me to the hospital. There were two doctors there, Dr. Yeni and Dr. Eresito. And one of I think it was Dr. Yeni, he gave me cinnamon oil. You know, in those days, everyone got castor oil and cinnamon oil and all that sort of thing. And went home, and my mother said, I turned around, hardly any energy, and I said to her, Nana, well, and then she said, anyway, the following day we went back to the hospital. We saw the other doctor, Dr. Eresito. And Dr. Eresito said, ooh, that's full strength. That could have killed her. And ikaw nana, but I mean, that's the sort of relationship we had. I felt that, you know, there was a strong relationship, one of trust, that she listened to me in my cry or plea when I was barely 3 or 4. But that's how close we were. And I think today that relationship is still very, very strong, even though she's not here. And I think that is who I am. I think that is why I'm very strong in my personality and my character, because she really awoke in me, you know, the feeling of trust and self-respect and truth and grace. Because, you know, she came from a family of ministers and the Vakatawas. And so I've grown up in that environment of always, you know, reading the Bible and going to church and looking after the poor. I guess I became a nurse because of that, you know, living in that environment, always serving. And I think today, what's made me very strong is a sense of service. You know, even though I'm in business, I have my own money. I I know what is important in business, and it's not only serving a customer, but you try to make sure that you please your customer in that service. But there's always that foundation of a spiritual relationship. Very, very important. And I think if we go back to that, we really need God back today. I really believe that. And, and we have to, those of us who have become successful in business, and why we're successful is that spiritual capital. Spiritual capital, or I mean, there's the Protestant ethic that Weber brought about in the early 1900s, and then the American Calvinism, the city on the hill, shining around the world to bring back democracy and human rights. So that's what's awakened in me. That's what she awoke in me. And today, when I see that opportunities to implement that, I can say that it came all the way from my mother many, many moons ago. And when she hugged me tight and said, "You don't have to have the cinnamon oil." So one of Susue, she was a loving mother, very caring, and that's the standard I have. And it's not only to my children, to my family. I have standards. I'm very firm with my children, but it's that love of, it's a character building. And I think that's why I'm successful in business. Today, the business of Hotbed Kitchen, we have about 750 staff. We've got about 29 shops. We've got 27 shops, and we're going to have some more. And it's all because of having moral capital, making sure that you're there for a reason. And that reason is more than just your physical needs. It's a spiritual need, a spiritual need, even not only for your family, but for the environment, for your for the systems to continue to grow, so that it will look after generations to come.
Sa totokan din. Thank you so much for sharing those very important values. Yeah, I really love that word, or that phrase, spiritual capital.
Yes.
I like it when it's phrased that way. It's easy to understand, and many of us, the ones that are listening in, can easily connect with what you're saying. And it's really interesting that you're saying it even from a business perspective, that spiritual capital is also important factor there.
Yes. I mean, we know what works, we know what doesn't work, and we know it works to look after people, serve people, and they're so happy when you do something little for them. They will give back much more, just like I did to my mother. It's. I mean, we were taught about spiritual capital. I think it's Galatians chapter 5, verse 23 to 26. I think that's about the spiritual capital, and that's mainly. I mean, God told us about that long, long time ago. And we go to church, and yet, I mean, today, what's happening in Fiji today, I'm really, there shouldn't be this infighting in the politics. That's got to stop, because why? The people deserve better than just this fighting. And that's between the Vanuas too. That's between the Vanuas. I've told them, we have many discussions on this. I've said to them, okay, we've done a lot of wrong things, but we need to also do the right things. What can we do to promote our culture, our traditions, and then to reward people that when they've done something well, okay, bring back the Great Council of Chiefs, bring back the Senate, bring back the presidency, and even create another Vanua for our migrant races, and then share that. And then those who have done well, share the leadership with them, bring them in and say, okay, this is how I lived. This is what made me successful, just like I'm trying to tell you now. And then when we first started off, I must show you this.
Yes.
Can you see?
Oh, yes.
That's Samisoni Enterprises.
Wow.
That's the
your
brand.
logo.
You see it?
SE.
Yeah, it's pink and blue.
Yes.
So that means equity, male and female equity.
Wow.
And that today is in the United Nations 17 sustainable goals to get equity. And if you do it in your life, you know, they will learn. And if the United Nations is promoting this worldwide, all over the world with 17 billion people, down to 17 sustainable development goals, you know, they will be reflected in here too. I've picked the first 5, and it's almost the same: education, health, poverty, equity, and infrastructure, and you know, being able to go into business. So you know, today it's about innovation, and it's not about power. It's about innovation and showing people how your spirit can create much more for everybody.
And that's the exciting part. I really like what you said about rewarding, you know, when you reward people, just like, you know, for us who are teachers or for us as parents, when you know that your child has done something well and something good, and you reward them, they will bring forth more. And ngoni binakasara na levu Talanoa do vierna pasi non rabita rong ni ramaro te kene chiko kona samara o kotua ko pu erto samara ona bala to sara ba levu levu sara me de binaka no vuli.
That's the message. That's my message. You know, not only we not only have vision, mission, but we have standards, but reward people so that they can be empowered to find their own ability and talent that God has given them. You know, I've always promoted the Matthew 25 verse 14 to 30 about the talents. One that was given 5 to 10, 10 to 20. One that was given 1, well, don't bulute it because it'll be taken away from you. So that's worked for me. These things, these Bible verses have worked for me.
Sa totoka dina nakabakalevu au na bele style ke Levuka Public school na nomu tumuta ke mai na nomu malekini ke Levuka o susunga mai Vanuabalavu sanga ilewa o rau na nomu tumutumu malaki vuli Levuka
ke to ala ko tina balato ratu le postmaster kina kangone ke to le chico kina ako vuli ang ando na wala, and we stayed there. Kito lay vuli kina, balato ratu Talanoa. He went to World War I, and because he went to World War I, they put us into that school. At that time, they were only Europeans, not Fijians, but they brought us in because he went to the World War I. At that time, also there was the measles, the big measles, and you know. A pandemic, but the chiefs went. Ratu was one of them with Ratu Sukun and all the other chiefs from Lao and some from Torocake. There was about 15 of them that went, but the British didn't want to take them because the people here were dying, and they felt, well, we don't want to take you. It's better that you go to France and join the French Foreign Legion. So my father and the others went there with Ratu Sukuna, who led them. They joined the war there, and then they were lucky that they came back and weren't killed. But we went to school. I enjoyed my education there. The English teachers were very, very, I felt I learned a lot from them. I can always remember, I think I must have been 7. And we were supposed to go out and find money, find some way to, you know, get money. So I thought to myself, okay, there's, you know, these little red seeds, I put it in a bottle. I got a whole lot of string, put it in a bottle, And there's something else I took. Oh yeah, penny a poke. And then I thought, all the copra people at the wharf. So I went down there and I got all my pennies. And I saved £5. I got £5. It only took me about a week after school to get all this. And then I went to the headmaster. I said, I've got this money and this is what I did. I went and asked him to count the beads, the red beads in the bottle, how long the string was, and penny a poke. And I got £5. He was so happy, he couldn't believe it. I didn't know I was so entrepreneurial then. And so he called me up in front of the school and said, well, this is the first student who's brought money, and I'm so thrilled with her, and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know then that I was entrepreneurial. I was very happy that I was called up in front of the school and shown my talent.
Wow.
But anyways, it started from there.
Man, so at a very young age, 7 years
I
old.
didn't know. I didn't know. But we grew up. My mother they were divorced. My parents were divorced. And we lived in a house, and there were 6 of us. And we all had jobs in the house. And today, I suppose the Labor Department will say, using child labor. But we learned a lot. And to the extent that we learned how to share, we learned how to cook, we learned how to live with our environment, our livelihood. And we went to the reef during school holidays. And my job was to fill up the firewood underneath the house. So underneath the house was always full of firewood. And I was always very proud of my underneath the house because, I could show off, oh, that's my firewood. That was my holiday work. And my mother was very, very clever. She would, on Saturday, she would always give us we would go to Patterson. I don't know if you heard of Patterson. Patterson in Levuka. They always had matinee, and they always had in the Patterson Hall, and they showed films. So Saturday, we would get up early, wash our clothes, hang it up, and the yard was spick and span, the best yard in the whole street. And then we would go and buy our three pennies of ice cream, 1 penny of gula gula, 1 penny of peanut, 1 penny of, that would come to 5 pennies, 1 penny of ice block, and then six pennies to go into the show. And then we sit there, eat and enjoy the eating. I can always remember that. And Gene Autry with his white horse. They were wonderful memories growing up and living with our environment. And I was very good at the reef too. My mother was very, she was entrepreneurial too. Wow. Because 6 children, and she would sew, and I was the youngest girl, and I always got all the hand-me-downs. I didn't mind because, in any chair or anything, she'd sort of try to put a bow there or something. But she was bright. She got with her little shop, she bought a punt, and the village people would take it out every day, and that's how the 6 children lived off the reef. Wow. I mean, we saw it. It was part of our livelihood to create.
So you would say that Mom had those skills that kind of helped what you had, what you were starting at a very young age.
And the thing is, she learned from the Bible. She only went as far as Prima 3 in Levu. Wow. Prima 3, because in those days women didn't go to school; they stayed in the kitchen. And being and her father being a they look after the church. Vakaturaga. He would invite all the sick people to come, and the 6 girls, they would look after all the sick people, and then they go to church, and after church feed them, and then they'll go home. And my mother said, Sunday was the biggest, the busiest day of their lives, the 6 girls. But she said she learned so much from that, loving people, sharing people, and just be kind to people.
Yes, that is so beautiful to hear. Those skills that mom had, and you were able to witness it, and then your siblings, you also were part of it too.
Oh, yes. And when I went to university, then I saw the skills of, organizing, planning, coordinating, all that sort of thing. And even the recycling things, reuse, reduce, recycle, all that. I said, I was part of that recycle cycle. I got all the hand-me-downs. So the concepts that I learned when I went to university, they were just not new to me. I mean, this climate change, I know so much about it too. You just got to look after your environment and all the systems.
Wow, that is amazing. Yes, you also mentioned nursing. Did you go to do your nursing first, or you went to university first?
Yes. No, I did my nursing first. I went to New Zealand. I had 3 sisters there. They were nursing. And then I went to Christchurch Public. And then I did my general nursing, my midwifery nursing, and my child welfare nursing again. I specialized in child welfare and public health. I did all that. And then I got married. And then I went back and studied. I did my diploma in nursing education at the College of Nursing in Brisbane. Then when I went back to Fiji, I then started taking my bachelor's. And then I had and they transferred some of my what do you call those units into
your degree.
To the degree. And then they asked me, they said, well, why don't you, because you're a mature student, why don't you just go on and do a master's business administration? I said, I don't mind. They just make sure you pass all my credits, please. And then I got my master's in business administration. I went and did that in 1994, 95, 96. I got that. And I was very happy to get that. And then I went on after that at the USP. I thought the University of the Sunshine Coast was part of the TPAC and they were in partnership with TPAC. That's when I went on to apply for my doctorate. They did a doctorate in business administration, not a PhD. They felt that PhDs were too theoretical. We needed more practical. Attitudes. And my thesis was on, just got it here. My thesis was on I did have it. My thesis was on, what are the entrepreneurial success, what are the entrepreneurial success factors in Fiji, and how can we use that? I found 186 success factors. So this is why small to medium business in any country, it's really, helps the economy, and they should be helped. Small to medium business. And that's how my mother started. That's how I started. And now I'm into the big business. So, you start from small and move on. And you don't have to be, it's just when you see an opportunity, you take it. And there's so many good people around. You know, the New Zealand teachers, the British teachers in Levuka Public School, they were very good. They helped us speak English. I speak English very well, but then, you know, I forget my Fiji. but you know, I think it, I know it, I understand it, but sometimes better the link up. But I know who I am. I know who I am. I'm very, very Fijian, and I'm very, very culturally sensitive and culturally respectful, and I am Fijian. That I know. That I know.
Totoka vakawati. So talita kana mutuku na mea, you find the opportunity, take it. Yeah? Find the opportunity, you take it. So in terms of your stepping into business, since you started at a very young age, starting with your 5 pounds and then you're carrying on, when you're starting to go into business, what steps did you take to start off your first business, Dr. Mere?
Yes. Okay. Now we need money to start our business. We need money. I married my husband, Dr. Samisoni. He's now passed away, and then we left to go to Brisbane, where he was doing his PhD in medical science. So I thought, well, what can I do? I can't just sit around and do nothing. So we moved into a housing commission area where the British came and from Britain, and they built them 3-bedroom red brick homes and with a yard and that sort of thing. And I thought, well, you know, we had a look at it, and I thought, we're not British, but we can afford that. It was only 2,500 Australian dollars, a nice brick home. And I thought, okay, well, we bought that, and that was just doing night duty. I was doing night duty. In those days in Australia, there was a lot of strikes by nurses, a lot of strikes. But all they wanted was the 8 to 4 nurses just wanted the weekends off and the nights off. And then we, the married ones, just wanted the nights off on and the weekends on. So we complemented each other. And then to this day, there's been never any more strikes in Australia. And the message, the moral is, you know, serve people's needs, and you can balance things out. That's something that I find as a leader, you know, you always look at the bigger picture and see how you can balance things out. And if we balance things out, this world will be a better place.
Wow, that is beautiful. Wow, Dr. Mere, for sharing those real experiences for many of us to know and appreciate. And now when you return to Fiji, how did you start with your hot bread kitchen concept? Yes.
Okay. When with that house that we found, we bought it for 2,500 Australian. I did it up beautifully. I did the curtains. I planted all the Australian natives, the flowers and things like that. That house stood out, you know, in the whole street. And then we were able to sell it for 10,000 Australian dollars. And then I thought, well, you know, we lived very far away from the university, and Jim had to take two trains. So we moved closer to the University of Queensland, and we bought a home there for $10,000 with a swimming pool, and closer to the university and closer also to the school where my children went. So that experience was very, very rewarding, because I was, you know, close to Jim's university, and the children's school was just about 100 meters away, so it worked very well. And you know, that's how we spent our lives, just I was looking after the children, he was studying. And then we returned to Fiji in 1979. We went over there in about 1962, returned in 1979, and I had some money. I sold that house that bought for $10,000. I keep saying mine because it was my money. It was mine.
It's good.
Jim had to pay back his scholarship. I had to pay back his scholarship then. So anyway, I mean, it was a family money. It was a family. And I sold it for 68,000 Australian. So when I came back, you know, that's helped with the hot bed kitchen and the house and the family. So it just helps.
So that started off like the capital for the business.
Yeah, for everything. The children's education. We sent them back to Australia because, I mean, they were born in Australia. By that time, they were all attending university. And it worked out very well. So as soon as they finished university, they came back, but they went again and left. And now they're all over the place.
Wow, that is so nice. I'm sure they'll be listening to Talanoa. Dr. Mere, what would you like to say to them?
What would I like to say to them? Enjoy yourself. Find yourself, who you are, because when you find yourself, you know yourself, find that self-respect. Because when you respect yourself, you can build relationships that comes from the heart, comes from the soul. It's long-lasting, and you learn so much about yourself and your people and your children around you. And there's no better way than to know your spirit, because when you know your spirit, it goes beyond.
Yes, absolutely.
That's who I am.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Mere. And I'm sure your children, will really appreciate their upbringing, particularly for your role as a mother. While your husband was studying, you were there being at home as a homemaker and looking after them. And not only that, buying the house and reselling the house from 2,500 to 10,000, from 10,000 to 68. Wow. Australian dollars. Wow. And at that time in 1979, because that's a lot of money back then, right? Yes. Wow.
I look after things. I look after things. I'm very frugal. But I'm not that frugal that I get miserly. I enjoy dresses. I enjoy jewelry. I enjoy all the nice things to make me feel good, look good, like you. We want to have our femininity, don't we?
Yes.
And enjoy our food, enjoy our friends, and you know that's my message to people. Enjoy yourself. It's not only about making money, it's also about sharing your feelings, your life, and just enjoy who you are. And that message, especially now after COVID, you know, there's been so much uncertainty about COVID and how to treat COVID, but the science is there. We have to respect the science and the public health and trying to help people with their jobs. But you know, the economics of it is something that we also all have to really watch, because you know, with the COVID, I know in Fiji and all over the world, and with the mutations, you know, it's affecting jobs. There's less jobs and and there's less growth, less jobs, and there's more inflation. So you know, for us in Fiji, for our business, you know, we're now looking at, you know, how are we going to invest our money, because our money, the US dollar can really crash. So what are we going to do about it? But you know, this is again, you know, we're in the information economy, and we've got this cryptocurrencies and blockchains. So we're looking at that portfolio to help us, you know, preserve our money too, right? Because if anything could happen, we don't know. The COVID, the Omicron, that started in Africa because, you know, they don't have vaccinations there. But wherever there's no vaccinations, you know, is that where the mutations are happening? We don't know. So So my niece, my granddaughter, she's made a soup, and we call it the C19 soup. And we put all the foods that we feel, and we know, we've studied it, we know that it will build our immunity and our antiviral, and it's mainly the spices and the spices and the herbs. And so, and you know, we're both creative. So I'm going to use her soup and put it in my book. I'm writing a book, by the way, and saying, you know, no matter what, God has given you a life. And enjoy it, know who you are, enjoy it, and try to always make other people feel better.
That is amazing. Wow, we look forward to see the book. When do you think the book will be launched, Dr. Mere?
We are, this year is the 40th year for Heartbeat Kitchen.
Wow.
And we hope to launch the book then. Wow. It's just about my life, who I am, a mother. Wow. And our family, by the way. We were a very close family, all the sisters. I can remember when I was sitting the New Zealand school certificate.
Yeah.
And we lived down in Vanuabalavu in Levuka. And it's about a mile there and a mile back. So by the time you, at night, and when we had, at that time, we had structured homework. So my auntie lived beside the school, so my mom asked her if I could spend, you know, the study period with her just during exam or just pre-exam. She said, yes, of course, come. So I spent a lot of time there studying, and I was one of the 11, and only 5 of us passed. But I said, you know, I said to her, Nana, you know, that's my mom's sister. What is that? Nakakanig ko daw si Libya sa mula kinanong
Makasama.
All the love, you know. Yeah, we had a good family. And I think it's really because of the, you know, the Christian, the Christian environment and learning from the Bible, and I'm so glad, you know, that the British brought the Bible and interpreted it into the vernacular for our people to learn about it and start of education.
Yeah, nasarana. Kandi na totoka. Wow. Yes, again, balik na Heartbeat Kitchen sa wasa nga Bula ng 40 years, eh?
Yes.
That is amazing. And will there be like, I know there's still COVID restrictions in Fiji. Are you still planning to do like, because I know you have 27 shops and 750 staff. Will there be like a national kind of celebration, Dr. Mere?
Yeah. We will have a national one. We have to.
Yes.
They probably just have to wear their masks. But, you know, we are allowed. There's a lot of restrictions that's been lifted, but the mask is still expected because it's an airborne disease.
Dina, Sarah.
And we just have to be careful with our hygiene, our hands, and adjust at the home.
And do you also have a Heartbeat Kitchen mask?
No, we had red and white. We had those made, but the Ministry of Health felt that it just was not fitting enough because you know it allowed. So the poor ladies who made them, we had to say, sorry, we can't wear your masks anymore. We have to wear thermal ones. So I was very excited about that because it meant that 2 ladies, 79-year-old each, we used to buy their masks. They made them, but we had to stop that because it didn't fit properly.
I see. Wow, look at that. You're still able to, you know, help out and contribute. Yes. I'm just thinking about the 750 staff because I love going to the Heartbeat Kitchen when I come to Fiji. You know, love, especially the cream buns, and it always bring back all the memories when I was little. And do you see that many of the, because I see a lot of women working in the hot bread kitchen, but I know men as well work in the at the back. So what was your vision in the beginning in terms of who you're going to employ in the beginning?
I mean, that thing motivated me. I knew I had to promote 50-50. Now, the men tend to go for the baking, and the women tend to go for the serving, and they're better with money anyway. and it's just worked out that way. We've had 50-50 from the shops at executive level, and even on the board. I try to keep a 50-50. And it works. It works. It has to work because, even in Fiji, and I suppose after the COVID, when there was a lot of lockdowns and people had to leave work and were put off work, the violence against women really must be right up there. The stats was in Fiji, 2014, the Fiji women's rights movement. Their stats was 64% in 2014, 15, one of those 2 years. And then in 2017, the Auditor General's report in Parliament, it was just under 80%.
Wow.
Yeah, so, I mean, that really worries me, and we've really got to keep an eye on that. And I'm so glad I've always had this. And I've always told the people, we must promote. There's a lot of men who are very supportive of it and encourage that. Times are changing. And then, if you have more love, self-respect, there will be that respect moving away from tribalism and all those values that we used to have in the past. But there's more good hearts, I believe, today. And we really got to address those statistics. There's a lot of statistics that we really need to address. The jail statistics of Fijians in the jail statistics. In about 2004, I think it was about 90% of indigenous Fijians in there. 2004, yes. Why is our Fijian people so subject to jails? And we have a Mr. Bauer. He's an educationist. And he came and told us about the learning of children, learning reading and writing. And then we said to him, well, how can we help? So he brought in a program from Australia, and he's targeting and he calls it the beacon education. He's targeting the children from class 2 to class 4. That's all the time they need. And they're usually mainly children who come from broken homes and that sort of thing. They really have not had so much love. But anyway, he's found them in these schools, and with the Australian program, we are able to help these children. We are helping him out, and we believe that government should be helping them out, because it's not just a small group, it's a big group of children, of poor people who seem to have forgotten how to love their children. And we need to look at these statistics, and the statistics is with Fiji Bureau of Statistics. And then they stopped giving out gender distribution, which is really silly, for me. As someone who's a social scientist, it really concerns me that they don't give our statistics that's paid for by the population, and and everyone deserves to know what the distribution of all these things are like. But we just received a report about 2 weeks ago, and it's just wonderful to see and to read how when they get the light shining into when they understand, when they can recognize words, the sounds and the phonics, and then put questions and sentences together, and only in 2 years. And then Mr. Bao was saying that when they go to prison and they keep recidivism and they keep going back, and it's only because they don't know how to read and write.
Wow.
Sad. And these are grown-ups, and so much more that we can do for our people. Right?
Dina,
So that's going to be one thing that I will promote when I go back to Parliament, is to get education right from the class 2 to class 4. Once we get them, and then when they find out, just reading the report was just wonderful. Just to see them suddenly realize that they can actually write a sentence and can actually question. It's just wonderful, and it's almost it's almost like you found a gift.
Sa totoka Vakawati. And since you've you've mentioned Parliament, what is your next step in the next couple of months or year or two for you, Dr. Mere? Vinaka Vakalevu ni na sema tiko mai totoka Vakawati na nomuni Vakarongo tiko mai na nero Veitalanoa tiko ke Dr. Mere Samisoni sema tiko mengo ko viti maro teki Vakalevu ni seletu moko na nona ngona mikro me Veitalanoa tu and sigo vinaka nikua menda merong ada tu matangana no Talanoa na maramangu klani vuko weekend da kliko na buru-buru ni bisinisi na nona qaravi tu na hot bread kitchen na nona kambani ni qaravi viti satu chika ko ni le rusang vulka bitu na nona stoa piti todoko bitu na raw limusang bula na nona le ni nakala ke ni warong tiko mai na kemni na nakaka tiko na hot bread kitchen may lami, may suva, no sorry, la vitau ni kere me na boliku, sangol chiko ni kona bako bula bikim ni kere kena nomuni mata vuvale. Doon din na Veitalanoa vinaka. Ikromi na kabatiko na bongi vinaka nikua ke Dr. Mere Samisoni. O tingwa na sema talamo kwa tali dina na nona waseti ko kwa na nona tumba na kimai. Segone loli la yamba kibitu. Sa tiko buta ko kwa na nona Vanuabalavu. Na nona vuli tiko kwa Levuka Public. Na nona tumbo taki chiko mekena maramatinana. Sa tiko bubaka tabuli chiko na maramatinana. Ve koya la rava me la kawi kwa kirtona tadina, kirtona tuakana, la kena baka ngataki na ngauna, kena itai mertonga rava. Dota langana bosa totoka mamadal taka chiko Dr. Mere nikua, nona vakabini binakataki na leoni takalaka. Ke bakara kapa ko binaka non ritavi erna somi bakakina sa rota merdo matendendre tumbe kangan turanga marama erdo raka tu hot bread kitchen marota kina nando me Veitalanoa tiko kina marama liu ni tambana ngona hot bread kitchen me viti Dr. Mere Samisoni and nona me wasiato ko weekend na nona Talanoa ni Bula, Vakabisinisi mulis taloko na nona sustu may Lomaloma, may Vanuabalavu, na Bula ni maramatinana, totoka Vakawati. Totoka Vakawati ni da may rongoda na Veitalanoa and sinubinaka nikua ni may sema tu weekend na maramango. May bakani tukun chiko kwa ni kwa arto me Australia and natin kadiwa ono sanga bulu karua kina tin kadir bits bul kadir gano wala malapo arto sut kene me Australia na lubena ala ki buli talanga lida kabme na nona PhD na watina na turang tamanda to me tabana na to lista libiti talindina na nona me waseti ko kwa weekend na nona bula ni qaravi na lomani nona mata vuvale ka teka bumbudini kina na itek bu me tiko mukina na bisinisi ni hot bread kitchen. Dora kada buli itu kaya viko di kau start small. Kakek tiko bungana kalalai. Tiko bungana kalalai sana kai wakalibu takiani melakin dotu na kapa kita mer. Ainda kere tango. Vitu nan rau limu sanga bulu na nona leo di nakaraka. Ira turanga, rama, dorbo na ngone leo viti. Sada kata tiko and hot bread kitchen. Tali sarkin baka levu na nona veiwasei tiko mayo Dr Mere na nikua unitaka ni na utibek ngango and sema talemai and nero Veitalanoa mero ni kami baka tapari baka pinakikina na nero Veitalanoa o klani bia dabu kumbeka baka lelai na non to wifi na buno sema chimbeka mikina ya o tinga baka lelengo and sema talemai o Dr Mere Samisoni. Vabi ni binaksar chikan vikim ni to vakusar and anom ni do vito kun chikmana program mungo be vakani kila na sigi nikua tolu na anu ilau and ngandekin ken matai and ngande sarki vivia vakumbula sarchi gona vuvale na lalinga voka na turanga na vaka mai vivia da marotak sar vakalevu na nona sema tumo kwa nikua totoka baka hoti koe vakeroto na makumbuni vabini binaka Susana yali kanavea na nona sema chikenda tu ki vivia na kabiniko vakumbula sar chiko be peli ndorintalo lalinga voka Susana yali kanavea mai vivia wakatala kene verona dorobo peli musinavesi pate ke biliame weni mala toko baka hote na non ro mai veiwasei tu nikua na non ro rai baka dorobo non ro rai ni Bula mena koro ro vuli na tete ro vuli talanga mena na te uvi ve non ro tua me baka sakasar tunga mai turanga ko roko peli lalinga boka ni chikubi kwa na mbele tilevu ni tangani kelau. Bele tilevu ni tangani kelau. Se bernindo e kota levuan na bele tingo. Na bele ti ni ndau te ubi ene sana vakaturaga lau. Sa tukun chikumingo menanga indo tale na sota go en sigani mati sigmatala sigani mati go sigani mati na bikatumai en nga bakadur talkina na VCCB te ubi. Esa nga madalakina en andua en kanda yani kirivia melaki ndrata mai ambeleti kasati kuwa na turanga o roko peli ndroni ndalo lalinga voka kenere chikoi en renre mendo koteli na beletia lere sana chikumbek ngamivia beleti ngo totoko pakoti na Veitalanoa kertona vitukani mai vivia e otia ndaka ngande tuki metuku vabini binaksar kena baka levu puasa ke marida Kurita mana rubang cukup minggu me Santa Rosa me Amerika mainland rembek rosa mo rembek na ngonongo belatin ko ni sa ucuk ng dua na matakalilay ni singa baka rombuka may California ya kani maraw ni rongwale may romiwasia ni rosa tekuna ito na non bisinisi na Divine Fijian Home Care may California and non qaravi saranga baka tambekin dua na caregivers o rando ving qaravi tu Amerika kembali bikin niya kay ngole may viti muni ngole may muni may qaravi Amerika satu na linga ni qaravi si linga ni susue merang qaravi kemni and nomuni vakaturaga na vuli na kana somimbek na nomuni text na veka kedvaya ke tiko na nomuni nganda muni rai and on the website ni ngole ngana www.divinefijianhomecare.com divinefijianhomecare.com na non bisinisi na biotini o na wekanda o puasa korita mana ke marita korita mana babi binaksar kena baka levu na nonda ngandi tu kena tulau na silvina kadiko iya sige ucika ngo dona ya uwa na Veitalanoa tiko ke Dr Mere Samisoni na marama ni Lomaloma mai Vanuabalavu na tulau totoka baka woti na nona wasiati ko kwa na nona vuli na Sasaga ya vuli na kwa na vuli nasi o te asanga tosa ni baka Malo kwa meta kapa na nona kroi ni Vakabisinisi me baka tuko no kwa mbaki bitu sa rawata ko 5 na paundi na ilavu na norto kurumbuy na gas ni vuli me Levuka Public School nile kakavivyo ko mele dure na moli ni kurni vuli mele bartek mikin na ngone ngwa rawata 5 na paundi anto ni lamu lemu na ngone ai 5 na paundi na ngone sekemba kifitu ya sarota me rawata tu na maramongo na rawata na bisinisi levu ngome bakan hotbread kitchen levu tal tu na bisinisi yang karabat tu tiko tal nga na Sasaga me na ngoli taleno ko na palimendi na buku ni nona qaravi na buku iviti senga mata ni magala viau una tobole mona vitar manda vi ko na ngonongo ke senga na kere Dr Gina ke baka wara rorong tiko mengo mongay vitar manda vi Dr vitar manda vi Dr Mere Samisoni ke baka na lista limai sesenga na baka tau chiko na non to internet blate ni kero se vitalo tunga sa me da buka koso na nero Veitalanoa ia sakam dengan ni marau libu ni da main tambe watu tulis sini bina kan nikua na pula ka pangau ni baka rong tiku mikina au ni taka ni rong bina tiku ya ni nambe libu ni Veitalanoa na ivatavata go ni tano with Dr T mai na ya tu Hawaii go sa oti chingo na tin kan dua na kaloka na bongi ni singlo tu libu o tingo na tin kono o tingo na tin kan dua na tin kono na militi au na to boleh mo na vitar manda vi Dr Gina ke bakasenga au sana vakamuadi bek ngaya ni na ngonongo ke bakasenga tal bek ni dua rani vitar bek kina me rani lorai na lesu mai sesenga situ tal ngo satal naka rani ngandre me na vitar no taki wawa mo tataba tatar manda oh nakvaleu sa listal mayo Dr Mere yay nakvaleu Gina sa listal may ko Dr Mere iya menatoman talan ng Talanoa binakvaleu bikem ni na sema tiko may na bogi binaka nikua na may vakaturaga tiko Dr Mere Samisoni na nero vital na sing binaka nikua nimbula binaka bula binaka finaw mataika do bula binaka Oscar Tueli sa Fair Ogden do bula binaka may Dubai bula binaka tinay TJ isa o niyali nga bakalilay kay may maraw ni ulis talimay
and doon gin may China during this connection this is typical in Fiji. So anyway, we got the internet connection back again.
Oh, that was really nice.
Yes, and she said she enjoyed it. She's enjoying it very much. They like the interactive interview. I like it too.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, we learning so much. I was just doing a summary while we were waiting for you to come back.
Yes, I saw that on my computer, on my little phone.
That is my next question, Dr. Mere. With all your education that goes back to the 60s, 70s, 80s with Dr. Samisoni, your husband, and returning to Fiji and creating your business, how do you incorporate technology into your business practice?
When they first got the computer, my son just said to me, Mom, because he did IT, he had a degree in IT. He said, there's your computer, learn how to use it. I said, hey, how do I start? Anyway, so I was thrown into the water with it, and I soon learned. And even today, I'm still learning. You know, I've got my granddaughter and dear old Peter. He said, "Hey, you better come in case my Zoom disconnects." And I'm glad they can. So, you know, I mean, you can't know everything, can you?
That's right.
and,
That's
and
right.
you've got to know that too. You can't know everything. So wherever you have your weakness, tell them, because then they understand.
Wow.
They don't think you're too, you know, hoity-toity that you know everything.
Wow.
We're all limited, aren't we?
Absolutely. That's actually a good skill to have, eh? When you know you have a weakness,
Yes.
say it and ask someone to help you.
Yeah. Oh, my children and everyone knows it. I'm always getting Peter here and little Nisi. I have my granddaughter staying with me. She's very IT literate and you know, but at our age, by the time you learn everything, and they're so quick at Pinterest, they point everything. I said, please slow down, you know, I'm slow at this thing. But Definitely. It's all just learning all the time.
Yes. Absolutely. And of course, with your shops for Hot Bread Kitchen, you have your websites for them too, and social media pages.
Yes. Oh, yes, we have that. And we got to move with the times. Yes. And, you know, to help you, we had somebody from Fiji. He's working for Uber in US. And with Uber, you know, they're starting, the reason for Uber is that you can get your taxis or whatever you want, delivery or whatever. We just ring the number and they will connect. And these are the middle people. Now with IT, what's happening is that they're getting rid of the middle people. Information is such that it can be put together so that the producer and the consumer can come together and relate to each other, cutting out the middleman and all the expensive services. And this is what Bitcoin does too. You know, you don't need a lot of once they get your not the Bitcoin, but the crypto government and the Bitcoin, the block, the bit block, the blocks, to get the ledger and all the information in that. Yeah. Once you get that information, you know, people who mine that information to make sure that you know, the money that they put out in the Bitcoin is not any more than it should be. And they use a lot of computers to get the information so that anyone who is interested in the Bitcoin can buy and sell. And the idea is, and this is why they're going to the 5G, is just to get the producer and the consumer closer together so that there's less people in the middle. And they can create their own businesses. You know, you don't have to be a third man. It's more businesses, more value chains. So there you are. Wow. So you got to learn.
Absolutely. Wow, that is amazing. And with your granddaughter living with you, I'm sure she's so blessed to, you know, to
meet This is my granddaughter. There you are. Have a look.
Bula. So how is life been living with the grandma at home?
It's really, really lovely. Because I grew up in the States and my grandmother was living in Fiji, so I didn't really get to have like a lot of quality time with her when I was a kid because we lived in 2 different countries. So me living here now and like getting to know her, and it's been really great because you sometimes she just like randomly says really, really wise things, and I'm like making breakfast and she'll, you know, like we'll be just chatting about something and then, you know, she'll kind of go into a story and be like, yeah, that's why it's always really important that you know yourself and you have respect for yourself, because when you have respect for yourself, then you won't allow anybody to treat you, you know, like worse than you know you deserve to be treated. And I'm like, wow, okay, it's like only 7:30 in the morning, and it's like I wasn't prepared to like get hit with that gem of wisdom just now, but yeah, it's it's really nice.
Man, that's a blessing,
Thank
you
you,
know.
Peter.
Thank you so
Peter,
much.
Peter.
Nakamalevu.
And meet Peter. Peter
Yes.
is the youth president of the
Malo,
whole of
malo,
He's
Yes.
He's the youth president for the Sudelpa youth in Fiji. So
Tita.
he's a lawyer by background, but he's looking after our Samisoni farms. And we're going back green. We're going green. Going green, and you know, we're going to be promoting organic farm products. So we're very proud of that. We're going green, we're going climate change.
That is amazing. So what are you planting, Dr. Mere?
Well, we're still in, we bought the farm, 125 acres, but we're planning on organic everything. You know, saijan, tapioca, dalo, ginger, turmeric, and lemon and uto and all those sorts of things. We're going organic because, you know, this the diseases, the non-communicable diseases, the heart, even this even this this virus. You know, we don't know how it's come about, but the use of chemicals in farming and the fertilizers and the pesticides and the fungicides is killing the microbes that should be doing its work. So, in encouraging the natural technology and the farming, you know, we hope to organic farming, that we hope to get the balance back, getting the microbes to do its work rather than killing the microbes off. So that's where we're coming, and that's where Peter, he's very good, Peter, and you know he was the president of the Sudelpa Youth in the whole of Fiji. So, and he's a lawyer by training and background. And so I'm very blessed to have Peter with us.
Sabi nako Levu, Dr. Mere, for you know, you're blessed, you know, you have your granddaughter with you, and what a beautiful expression she just made, you know, that she lived in the US.
I love it. 7 o'clock in the morning, I come back with some pearl of wisdom.
Wow, that is so special, and I'm sure she will keep that, you know, for the rest of her life. And just so beautiful to live with someone, you know, with your wisdom, Dr. Mere. Even for us listening in tonight, we're so blessed just being in your presence, and for you sharing your story with us very openly makes us really appreciate this time that we spend with you. Before we finish our Talanoa tonight, is there anything else would you like to share?
No, I'd just like to say thank you very much for inviting me to speak to your audience, to the audience, and to the youth. You know, as my granddaughter said, enjoy your family, your parents, and always respect your parents. And I have a beautiful granddaughter. I just absolutely love her. And I was at her birth, and then I saw her grow up from, you know, that's the one. She's still with me today. And we have a very close relationship. So love your family, love your elders, and enjoy life, and find yourself and enjoy life.
Wow.
And give back, of course. Give back to your parents and to your communities.
Give back. That is wonderful. Dari talaga na ulutang na give back. Na it's ito talaga ni Volatam. It's in the Bible. You will be blessed. You know, when you give, you'll have more blessing. You know, blessed are those that give than those that receive. So it's such a wonderful value that when you give your time and give your heart and your soul to those who are working around you, they will also bless you in return, in different ways. Sa totoka vakauti Dr Mere na Veitalanoa nikua. Taleni da rulis tali ki Lomaloma kona numalis tali abodose. Arongo ser ni vakamadengone totoka. Sa rong vinakadina. So maybe at this time I'll give you the chance to acknowledge your family and those who helped raise you ever since you were young, growing up in Lomaloma and moving across to Levuka and all your education. And I know many of them are listening in tonight. This is your time to share your expressions with them.
So thank you, Dr. Ati. Iyo babi ni pinakangamitimoni wrong to my makes me touches my heart and my spirit. Just sharing this with you, and I'm really happy. I'm really happy to have been invited to talk and to have you listening to my story, the way that life has treated me, and all my friends from Levuka, up the Mission Hill, Suli Sandys, and just so many friends in Levuka. I think they must have left by now, but in here in Fiji, in Suba, in the Lami, I stand for the Lami constituency here. I look after I tell them that I'm their candidate, and I'm here to help them with their needs. They have a lot of needs. But there's another time for that. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to my story, the way I have put it. And today I'm blessed. I have a nice home. I have my granddaughter with me to help me enjoy my old age. And also, I would just like to say, thank you to the men that have helped me balance the gender equity in life. And there have been some difficulties, but we've been able to get over them. And the only way to get over things is to be open about it, speak about it, and to study the statistics so that people can understand when something goes wrong, something has to be done. We talk about it professionally. And, to my people in Lomaloma, I love you. And whenever there's a hurricane or anything, I'm there. Oh, by the way, I'm repairing the house in Lomaloma and the hotbed kitchen. We had to close it down, but it's our repair and maintenance people went back to they've just returned to repair the house and the hotbed kitchen. And people from Urone are very interested. They're trying to plant tapioca to make tapioca flour to make bread. So that's another project. I hope that we can get on with that. But we're talking business at the moment. They'll be renting the hotbed kitchen. So I'm glad that we can employ the women there. It's a UN-funded project. And hopefully that the tapioca can replace the wheat. I don't think it will be able to replace the wheat. We need a little bit of wheat. There is a lot of discussion or blaming the wheat and the gluten for the sensitivity that some people have, but I think it is more the chemicals that's used in planting the wheat rather than the gluten itself. But because there's 29,787 little proteins in this little grain, and who can spend money to find out what who is allergic to? So I leave that to the imaginations of people on how we can help. Anyway, it's again. I just like to thank everybody for listening in.
Malo Dr. Mere for such an enjoyable and Talanoa, that's so full of wisdom and grace and love and sincerity. And again, the words spiritual capital is something will be my takeaway for tonight. Something that you've really reminded us in whatever that we do is not to forget that spiritual capital is when we care for our customers, when we care for the people that we work around with, they will reciprocate. Yeah, that love and that spirit back to us. So what a wonderful reminder that if we are alert to or being aware of our spiritual capital, it allows us to be more caring, and there will be more love and more understanding in all the communities that we live in. And Nakavakaliv Sara Dr. Mere, and I look forward to come over and have a cup of tea with you.
Yes,
when
do
I
that.
come
You
over.
let me know. You just let me know. I'd love to have a cup of tea with you. Domboy. Fiji's got a lot of domboy. Fiji plants a lot of domboy.
Nakabali mo pita, ker mete mo kalima domboy. Nakal, what man Dr. Mere? Thank you so much.
It's Malo.
Malo.
Lovely talking to you.
Nakabali sa. Samade, adamanda. Sa nakabali sa wikim ni na semti kumai. Sa maro takina nagulakay ni kivit sa nalaking doon mo kumbilo domboy. Kayo sana vuta mendo nga bilo leilai mendo saranga kurniti adomboy mo nalaki ngunu ba niyo na yata ni kilami. Bini binaksar ba kaliyo bi Dr. Gina na bisi mati ng pong binakan nikua bakang Bula sa tiko pero na biwakan mi Lomaloma may Vanuabalavu bikim ni keda na bi kor keda may Vanuabalavu sangol tuka na bakang Bula kena bakang binibinaka bakang Malo bikim ni totoka sar ni may dambi tubat kay keda nikua endo na nung marama may Vanuabalavu may Talanoa takatuna no ni Talanoa bikenda and na ongo nga takatuwe bunga sar na kami baleta na nonta Vanuabalavu may biti bito na raw limsa nga wulu na non na leon takataka and hot bread kitchen sa tip talaga ko non rito tutu merto na tite babi binaka pita wang ko bono binakabali pita katalanga kin na makumbuna e robin qaravi tiko na non vale e na buku ni ben qaravi totoka ni hot bread kitchen kena non do lista litiko ko ki Lomaloma e na non do sule lista ko na non yau kena non ngauna o ya dora kada buli be Dr. Mere nikua e non tukurchunga ko self respect da ready kenda me binaka na non da tuba kini Bula wakati kenda keni kuri na non da binaka vera na turanga tamata tamusakayani era tua buli kenda me binaka na non da bimaliwai bat kira sa va bini binak sarchukan vale bikimuni nakvale sara nomuni sema mai nikua tale yenda ngole ki vivia ki matuku at ki Vanuabalavu and sino binaka nikua and na sota chukan sigani mataka and na rochikina non da bulani na sema chukumikina una loto ofa ko kimote na sema sarchuko may Kens may Queenslandi wakatalanga kina walo kaloka ng pungin mataka and nanducho kina na non rito may Talanoa tiko na binalangas ni vuli and sana vakaturaga lao and non rito na may wasei tiko solaka and buku ni non rabi vakatabuli tiko na primary school secondary betapasaran na tertiary berna buli torocake ningay bakana matal chunga ni sikatambo and kena may tabo tal chunga na Lao Education Charitable Trust and na wala na kalok talaga and ang buwang ni sikatambo sana may bakatabar tal chunga kina na Bula kay Lao nakvalib sara na munibito ko ni nakvalib tini Jaden Rusila Halofaki kemdo keda na Lao Charitable Trust Lao Education Charitable Trust Board members Babi binakan bali bikim do totok sara and nam do bito kun chukmen bulai sevu bulo ko February unita kina ni na bito mani chukumai belev chumatangano to bilomani usaba ko mati chukayani meneto Hawaii malo bakalev sara na siya mati kumai ni mata